Hi YouTube guys and gals, welcome to King's Court. This is Shrine King, and yeah, I've been gone for a little while, so my job has changed how my role is supposed to be, and has decided now that I will be on up to 70% travel. That has made streaming and recording and YouTubing and all that a little more difficult, as I have nothing prepared for traveling and doing like even remote type gaming. To give an example, my laptop is barely able to handle League of Legends, which to me is pretty subpar when you come to like graphics and the whole new look type stuff. So like Tarkov will never run. There's quite a few other games that I would typically play. They won't even run. I have strategy games that are just turn by turn and not even that extensive on graphics, and that won't run. So while I was away, though, so it's been a little while. I think it's been about a month now. Actually, maybe even two, since I've recorded or posted any videos. So I'm actually back at home for about a month. I'm working on getting a laptop that should be able to at least allow me to play some games and still record. It just won't be, for example, like Tarkov. And that's something we'll have to see, because I am watching what Tarkov's using on my home PC, and it's seems to be using about 2 gigs of my graphics card, which, funny enough, the new computer, that's the max that it has, is 2 gigs. So I'm not too confident that I'll be able to do that. But a lot of other games I should be able to, and that's what I was looking for, is to be able to still continue, just maybe not necessarily particular ones, so that way when I am back at home, I can do those. So with that said, while I was away, I heard a lot about Tarkov and things being said in aspects of this being pay to win. And then I saw a lot of stuff that's talking about like Wikipedia things to say, yes, look, by definition, just bear in mind, Wikipedia, like I can go in there and edit that right now. So that's just someone's definition. It's not necessarily everybody's definition, and it's not a hard set definition. With that said, the definition that they mentioned, which I'll actually include some videos of things that I saw. So like for one, I saw Kotton, who responded basically to a particular guy's video, and I forget his name. But I know he has a lot of followers, and I know he has some gripes towards this game as a consumer external. So if he does watch this video, I want him to know, while the packages that are represented from Tarkov do seem to be able to be expensive, and they do have particular items that are being given, but almost all of those items are stuff that you can earn in the game. And when I say earn in the game, I don't mean like, dude, you're gonna grind that shit and it's gonna take you about a month. I mean, like, you will probably get it in the first couple days. And before you know it, your entire stash will be fully loaded with stuff. And the first complaint you're gonna have is, I have too much stuff and I don't know what to do with it. So either you're not losing it fast enough, or you're kind of like me, where you kind of hoard. So for example, if I go back into my own character, I actually hoard a lot. So for example, everything that's on my guy right now, that's stuff I found in a match as a scav. Everything I actually am holding, so you'll see, like, I have a bunch of stuff. I actually just bought this gun case just so I could fit more of my guns in there. So you see, I am definitely hoarding. I have 2 SV98s, not really necessary, as I don't really use snipers very often. And you'll see it keeps going. I have armor up to wazoo. So, for example, one of the bigger complaints was, you get this armor and it's pretty ridiculous. Just to give you a comparison, for some of that information, so you understand, there are 3 types of armor. You have the 3M, the PACA, and then you have the 6B. The 6B is the best armor by far, but it's based on like what bullets are being shot at. So like, for example, if 9mm rounds are being shot at the 6B, you're going to have a long time trying to kill somebody with that. But bear in mind, it does not protect your arms, your legs, or your head. You'll see here, like, it apparently protects your groin, and it will protect your upper arm, but it will not protect your forearm or anything like that. So if someone shoots you so many times in there, they can kill you without ever touching this 6B armor. Whereas the P.A.K.A. is good against 9mm and like 5.56, but even 5.56 will start to tear through it. So like you're probably talking about being able to survive instead of being able to die within like 3 hits. You'll probably die within like 7. The 6B is actually designed for those rounds as well, so it could still be like 20 something hits before you die. And there was actually a guy who did a video just to show what's the difference in the bullet penetrations, and he was using 5.56. And basically this gave you no protection, the 3M. The P.A.K.A. gives you some protection, which gets you up to like the difference from 2 to 3 hits to 5 hits, and then to about 20 hits. Now bear in mind, with that said, 7.62 rounds are very large in caliber, and they will still tear through the 6B, which means you can drop someone with like 3 to 4 hits with the gun. Now, just to explain that, here's 7.62 by 39mm PS rounds. Guns that use it is sniper rifle, the SKS, right, or the Vepr. The Vepr also uses it. It is fully auto, and it is, or I'm sorry, I don't think one version's fully auto and one's not. I think it's this AKM is fully auto. The Vepr is actually not. The Vepr is single fire. It does have some major kick to it, but bear in mind it makes sense because it has such big rounds. So the aspect of, you know, hey, those who put money into the Edge of Darkness, you know, they got this big armor, they're gonna get an MPX, right? So like if you, and actually that's probably one of the nicer parts is the MPX. It is a solid weapon, but again, man, it only takes a couple hits to really drop you. Even if you came in with that fort armor that you have, which most people might not, because there's a quest that requires that armor to be turned in along with a kiver. And for those 2 items, if you go to turn, if you turn those in, that helps you progress right away to get you kind of kick-started. Other people would actually have to try to farm for that, which, funny enough, now the scabs can actually have it on them. So it's not that difficult. Kotton mentioned that it's really easy to get. Now, Kotton I know plays a lot. I don't really get to play as much, and it's not as easy. At least to my own personal feelings, I don't feel that it's as easy as Kotton was making it sound. But you can see here, I have 3. I've already turned it in, and I still have a kiver. So it's not that difficult to get fort armor. The other principles that I'm hearing was, well, you know, you got the extra stash size, you got bags. So like here's a new bag that's implemented in the game. You don't get this bag. It's huge. So you see here, I stack them in. By the way, it's a great technique to keep a bunch of bags on you, is you just stack them in and then you put them on. So for example, if I wanted to actually take that bag in, I would take this one out and pull it over here. And there you go. Alright, so you can see here, man, it's 5 by, what is this, 7? Yeah, 5 by 7, so it's huge. Which it doesn't look like I have my other bags. Interesting. Oh, you know what? I know where they are. I stacked them in here. There's the bags that you do get are tri-zips, which are actually very similar to the Pilgrim. It's just a size lower. Which, don't get me wrong, those bags are very useful. Is that the one I had on? No, I had this guy on. Yeah. So those bags are very useful. It's just, you could still lose it right away. So like it's the same principle. Like I can come in, you know, with the fort armor, the kiver, the, you know, the tri-zip backpack that's almost as big as this, and I can, and my MPX, right? I can have all of that on. I can go into a match, and someone with a 5.56 gun, so like let's say for example this AKS gets lucky and shoots me right in the face. So where all this covers, it shoots right to the face. I'm gonna die instantly, one hit, and I just lost everything. So pay to win, I don't necessarily believe so. They say that, you know, it gives you distinct advantage. Well, the advantages are not distinct. Does it mean if everyone's trying to body shot you? Yes. it'll take more to kill you. To the same principle, does that mean someone's starting out? It's the stuff that gets kind of weird. So yeah, if I were to literally say, we just wiped everything, nobody's going to play scavs whatsoever, and we're just going to kick off as players right into it, right? And everyone's going to go fully decked. Then yes, there is an advantage, right? Obviously, because you have that armor. But there are too many variables to measure to say that that's really pay to win. So like, for example, the pay to win definition actually comes from more or different games. So this game is much different in its design. If you actually evaluate some of the older games, the things that they're really bouncing off of, they're more like for MMOs, first-person shooters, where the stuff that they gave you was not a temporary thing. It's not a losable thing. You paid to buy it, right? And then you have it, and it's something reusable continuously to have an advantage over somebody else. This case, it's not so much that, man. Yeah, you do get some advantage, but even that advantage is not something miraculous. It's not going to be like, oh man, dude, you could just really go at it. A lot of the player community has already been known or talking about, if you see someone, in Fort Armor, which is the 6B, you shoot their legs out. If you see them, wearing a kiver, shoot them in the face. You see them in a coal pack, well, if you have a 9mm, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to shoot them in the face and win. But if you have a 7.62, all of this doesn't mean anything. Just shoot. Have fun, because it shreds. So, I mean, and that's the aspect of the game, right? Everything's supposed to be very realistic. They're looking at, what are the designs. So, yeah, you have that face shield, but that face shield only helps deflections against 9mm ammo. If someone shoots you straight on, it's probably going to go through. Now, the nice part is it won't be as full damage in the game, and based on the mechanics of how they would work that. But if someone used a 5.56 or a 7.62, basically anything larger than that 9mm, or the Makarov's like smaller equivalent, yeah, you're dead. No way around it. Now, if they shoot you in the back of the head and stuff like that, you have a little better protection. Same thing goes with like the kiver. If they shoot you anywhere besides your face with the kiver, you're pretty well protected. But let's talk about that for a minute. So like 5.56, if you're protected, no helmet, it's 1 shot to kill you. If you have the coal pack, it's 2 shots to kill you. If you have the kiver, it's 3 shots to kill you. And that's not hard. I mean, if you have semi-automatic weapons and you're on full auto or semi-auto and you just plug in a couple rounds right into their head, bam, they're done. Now bear in mind, as soon as you hit them and they take damage in the head, they're going to be in pain. They're not going to be able to see very well. So whether or not you're fully decked or not doesn't necessarily help you, right? Because, I mean, the moment you get hit in the head, you're in trouble. You have to figure out. That's why usually you see these guys fully decked out. As soon as they got hit, they start running. It's not because they're like, oh man, this dude must be decked. No, it's because you just hit them and they now can't see. So now they're worried, they're scared. They're like, all right, I got to get somewhere where I can try to heal up and hopefully fight you. So would I say pay to win? I don't really agree. I see people's perspectives, and that's really the gist of where this ends up going. So some responses I've seen, they make some very good points, and the point is, if you're coming in as an outsider and you believe that this game would be pay to win based on the information that's provided to you, that's not good. We definitely don't want that as a community of Tarkov. I mean, if people feel this is pay to win, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. That's perfectly fine. You just want to make sure that the education is out there so that if there are those who still believe it, that's fine. But hopefully those who weren't really sure or they're kind of on the fence, at least they're well enough informed to make a decision one way or the other. So the gentleman who posted his video, he's never even played the game. He doesn't really know. He doesn't know how it plays out and what really happens. Kotton made a lot of distinctions to certain designs, talking about certain equipment and things like that were being mentioned. And to that model, he mentioned, like, hey, these things that they're talking about, the armor and all of that, it's not like so amazing that you become a god the moment you have it, and that no one can stop you. That's really not the truth. And he even showed in his video, which I really enjoyed, that he just walked up to a guy fully decked out and shot him in the face with a pistol. So a pistol, no armor, against someone fully armored with like a semi-automatic assault rifle. Took him down, no problem. Now, given Kotton's a much better player than most, but I myself can even do that. It's not as often as probably Kotton does, but it's still possible. But one of the largest things that I have against this pay-to-win model is that it would be the aspect that that person holds the advantage no matter what, and that in this principle, right, that people are put like at risk of losing, right? Now, just bear in mind, the equipment that you have and things like that do not make you win whatsoever. Killing people in the match does not make you win. Winning a match is actually simply getting out. And I can go in with just a hatchet, or actually I can go in with a hatchet and not even use the hatchet, and still escape, right? Now, given I get run through, I don't really get experience, which means you do want to at least kill one person. I can do that with a pistol, though. I don't need anything incredible to do that. So, what does the advantage of the equipment give you? Well, it makes it where you can actually get in engagements and try to get better loot so that you can make more money, so that you can go through and buy stuff, which, you know, and then sell things to these guys to level up these traders. And as you level them up, right, so like for example, I have this guy at level 3, and you'll see, like, you know, he's got a tri-zip, you know, he's got P.E.K.K.A. armor, he's got MPXs, he's got M4s, right, which I need to buy one eventually. But you'll also see, like, in the other portion here, is that it's not all money, right? Some of it is like trade. So like if I go through and I get a bunch of MP153s and I break them down to just the receiving end, I can then get an M4 out of it. You know, or if I had SSDs and flash drives, I can trade those as well to get an M4. Or if I just have the money, I can do the money. So that aspect right there makes it a little hard on the argument of pay to win, because actually to win is not just go around killing a bunch of people and getting all this loot. That is a bonus. That is an additive. All you have to do is kill one person. Like I said, man, I can go in with a pistol and kill one person. It doesn't even have to be a player. It could be a scav, right? And then just run and leave. And technically, I don't even have to do that. I could just leave. It won't be very advantageous for me. Now, the other part that really ruins that argument, right? So the pay-to-win model would be that, hey, you know, coming in, like I said, at risk, and the person has an advantage over you to win the match. If we're looking at, if by whatever means we were trying to measure this to say, well, it's not that simple. The aspect of getting the loot and, you know, killing people, that makes part of it, and that would be a pay-to-win model. And if that's your belief, well, then the only argument I have against that is the fact that it's not just player-based. So I don't have to go in as my player. Because they have scavs, I can go in risk-free, and those who have the equipment, I can go and engage them. Again, risk-free. The only thing that happens is this player that I do not really own, and all the gear that he has, I might not get. Right, which means, okay, well, whatever I have, which is all of this, is not at risk. But I can go into that match as a scav, which it randomizes the loot that you have. Sometimes you can come in with armor. Sometimes you might have grenades. Sometimes you have a pistol. Sometimes you have a shotgun. Sometimes you have an AK. I mean, I don't, you know, I know other players could probably update to say if this really occurs, but I've never personally had a scav that had like some of the really nice weapons, so like SKS, M4, things like that. So a player having that coming into the match, yeah, that is a bit of an advantage, right? I've never actually had one that I went in with that actually had fort armor on or anything like that, so yeah, they would have the advantage. But there are some aspects that you have to consider are not advantageous. So, for example, a player coming in solo is by themselves. Not only are they against the other players in the match, but they're against every scav that's also in the match. As a scav player, you are actually not against the scavs. Now, real quick, just a note, the community has been a little bit untrustworthy when it comes to scav play. And what I mean by that is a scav player coming in, sees another scav player, considers that they are a risk because, hey, they don't know what that person's going to do and they might actually shoot them because it is another player. That typically does happen, and that is built into a community of distrust. So rather than in the game design where scavs are against the actual players, and by players I mean PNC characters, their main characters, yeah, they don't typically do that. So now basically the scav players end up killing each other. Now, I do know they're working on designs to try to balance that out and hopefully shun away from that so that the experience is the way that it was intended. Because the idea is the players who come in as scavs are supposed to be going after the players. So for those who have that good loot and have earned their way or started with that loot, they're at high risk, right? And that's the whole aspect, high risk, high reward in this game. So that would be a great way for you to get your loot. So all that stuff that they're talking about, like, you know, they have that, okay, well, good, but you can also beat them by numbers. So they're not exactly at an advantage. And by that statement, right, so if I take away that advantage and actually go in as a scav and we are working together, we actually have the advantage over them. And by that, that ruins the principle of pay to win, because anything that they paid for did not grant them an advantage in that situation. So the gist of that is, yes, there's a way to look at it as pay to win. Yes, there's a way to look at it as not pay to win. Personally, I feel that it is not pay to win, and I know that there are other people that agree as well. What I will say in defense to the principle of the money, because that's the question, why would you pay all of this money if it's not really giving you an advantage? And the real response is that every single package in its value gave, like, the largest value that was not summarized in their package was the early access. So if you paid for Edge of Darkness, that was for, typically the idea was it was people who were backing the game so early on and it was in alpha stages. Now they're trying to work on making that package a little better for those who paid for it that did not get that alpha access, because that gain or that value was lost to them. Now, the other packages, it was like, you know, first intro to beta, third intro to beta, you know, and then eventually just waiting for open beta, right? That kind of stuff. That's where most of that value was. So, honestly, if you ask me the overall value of what they had there, I would say Edge of Darkness, you probably paid about $40 just to get into alpha, just based on what they have. And like I said, it's everything that they gave you did not give you something in a way that no one else can get it, or that, you know, within a couple days that person got it. So if we are looking at that pay to win model, I don't see how it could be, because like I said, pay to win was the principle that it was more permanent. That's historically how it's gone, is that I have continuously had this advantage over you. Not that I instantaneously had one moment in life that I had an advantage over you, because if that's the case, man, there's a lot of shit that could be considered pay to win. Simply because it's temporary, and you know what, it helped you out a lot for that time, and that doesn't really help if we're trying to evaluate this more realistically. So if you look at historically, you'll see that a lot of games that are considered pay to win were all in the principle that you paid money for something more permanent, right? And then that helps that model to say, yes, you kind of paid to win because consistently you have this advantage over others. In this game, the things that they gave you does not consistently give you an advantage. If you wanted to argue of things of what would be given that were permanent, you have the hatchet and you have a gamma case, and the gamma case is 3x3. Oh, and then you have your stash size, right? The increased stash size. Bear in mind, all three of those things, only one thing potentially could influence your gameplay in a match to win. And that's the hatchet. Alright, the gamma case doesn't really do anything. It's just for storage and taking through. So, do you get a different advantage? Well, maybe, because you can put meds and stuff like that in it, so you can hold more without risk of losing. But that's not the same. That's not to say that people can't have meds and stuff like that on their person, in their pockets and things like that, which most people do anyway. Even the guys who have the gamma cases do that. So, yeah, it provides protection so that you're not losing as much money. For everyone else, you could definitely lose money, but like I said, with the aspect of the scav and the fact that a scav comes back up every 30 minutes, you can easily gain your money back, right, and keep playing that way. But the hatchet would be the only thing, and that hatchet, yes, it's pretty powerful if you consider it against, a knife. The fact that it generally breaks whatever you hit. So if you hit someone in the arm, you pretty much broke their arm. You hit them in the leg, you broke their leg. They're not going to be able to move around as much. You hit them in the head, it's typically a one-shot. But I've seen where, like, hey, if they have a helmet on, and you hit them in the back, it's not going to be a one-shot. And it causes bleeding. And it has larger reach. That's the other thing to bear in mind. I don't think a lot of people notice. A knife does not have as far of reach as a hatchet, right? And that's the advantage that you get. Now, does that mean you have an advantage over someone with a knife? Yes, absolutely. If you came in with a knife and I had a hatchet, I do have an advantage over you because I can reach and my weapon does more damage, and I can break things on you, whereas the knife is just going to cause you to bleed. And the hatchet still causes you to bleed too, so you don't have that advantage. Does that mean I have an advantage over someone with a pistol? No, I'd probably rather be the person with the pistol any day. But does that mean people don't die to hatchetmen? Well, yes, they absolutely die to hatchetmen. I've done it myself. I've even killed scavs with just a hatchet. And all of that is not to say that I held an advantage, because to be very honest, let's say out of 7 matches, 1 or 2 of them I managed to kill somebody and get some of their loot. And generally I don't make it out alive. Because usually by then there's a lot of gunfire and other people are coming after you, or even scavs are coming after you, and it doesn't play out as well as you probably like. So, I apologize, guys. I don't really have editing software. I've been working on getting that, so that way, because I've seen other streamers or YouTubers, they'll have gameplay videos in the background while they're doing commentary. I kind of went with the same principle, except for it's more stationary, so you'll see that I'm not really messing around. I'm actually just talking to you guys. For this particular video, there's no real gameplay or anything like that. I just showed some stuff in context to the game. So again, to the complaint of pay to win, I totally understand, and I really hope that after reviewing or looking into certain details that you'll see that it's really not. If looking at the forums, I would say try to look at more recent stuff, because, again, if you reference all the way back to alpha, this game has changed significantly from the time of alpha to the beta it's at now. And just to give a personal reference, in alpha, I thought it was a little too hard and very harsh, and I didn't find it very enjoyable. Simply because I was just dying all the time. I would never really make it out. Anytime I was actually trying to get anything, I was dead. To now, where typically I do make it out, and actually I can look at my overall and tell you. Yeah, so you'll see here, I'm at a 42% survival rate, which is really high. I didn't even know I was doing that good. So yeah, you'll see here, so I've survived 39, but I ran 91 raids. I've had 3 run-throughs, which I can tell you right now, one of my run-throughs was actually just to get an SV98, because I found it, I died in a match with a buddy. He got it for me, so then we just went into a match, he gave me the weapon, and then we left. So that's a run-through. If you didn't kill anyone, or at least go through the entirety of the stage, you'll get a run-through, which gives you no experience whatsoever. Yeah. You'll see I've died 49, yeah, I always find this funny. So they say if I died 49 times, but I've ran 91 raids, so that number doesn't make any sense, right? So they have some work to still do, right? Obviously, because this information is not right. I guarantee I've gotten a lot more kills than I've actually died, and that's even with me running hatchetman runs and stuff like that. So anyway, guys and gals, man, I really hope this information at least helped give you an explanation to why I believe it is not pay to win, and hopefully you yourself come to the determination that it's not pay to win. the game overall is really a lot of fun. So I'm really hoping that we don't end up with a community, or I'm sorry, I'm really hoping that we don't end up with people outside the community who automatically just turn away from this game due to bad publicity. And for those who do believe that it's, you know, pay to win just from an outward perspective, please feel free to reach out, have discussions, leave comments. I have no problem discussing anything. And you know, you might absolutely be right. You know, maybe in your own perspective, it makes sense that it's pay to win. But I really hope that's not the case, and I hope that it's not a sense that it deters people away from playing this game. Because as a member of this community and playing this game, again, I find it to be a lot of fun, and I would like to see more people play it. Alright, well, more videos to come. Again, this was just kind of a response of a lot of the stuff that I heard, and you know, also to help explain kind of like why I haven't had any videos in a while. And I hope you guys have great holidays, and catch you later.